You've
All right.
also been streaming for 6.5 hours. Don't feel like you need to keep going.
That's fine. I guess you can
It's
do
nearly
it.
a full work day. Anyway, Son of Achilles.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure the purpose in there. Sorry, hold on. I'm trying to find the specific quote. Because the book details it in a better way than I can. So the Patroclus is. Hold on, what is my cat doing?
Being a fiend, no doubt.
Kitty, what you doing? Well, whatever it is, he stopped. So Patroclus was the son of a king. He was a prince. His mother was described as like slow. So she had some like mental issues. But you have to understand that this is written in the context of ancient Greece. So, you know. But
Yeah. Like, we didn't have the understanding of those things that like we do
Yeah.
now. So.
Okay. So Achilles lives with his dad. His mother died at some point before like the book started. It's not said how she died, from what I remember. But I feel like it was alluded to the idea that like maybe the king killed her because he was not happy that he was married to her. Because the king, like Patroclus' father, is not a good dude. You can tell just by like reading his interactions. At one point, Patroclus is arguing with a nobleman's son. Patroclus has like these dice that he's playing with, and this noble son like takes them from him, or tries to, and Patroclus pushes him, and the boy lands on his head like on a rock, and he dies.
Ow.
So when this happens, and that's it. Novel over.
Everywhere you look.
Roll credits. Yeah. So after this, the nobleman's the noble's family, is kind of like, hey, fuck you, and they demand either that Patroclus gets killed as well, or he gets exiled. So either sentenced to death or like abandoned or like banished from the kingdom. Patroclus' father chooses not to kill him, but it's not really because he wants to, it's because it's the better financial decision. Because if he were to kill Patroclus, like to sentence him to death, he would have to pay the fees and everything for like a funeral afterwards, versus exiling him, where he can be taken in by someone who would then pay the king his son's weight in gold. So, he goes and lives with King Peleus, who is Achilles' father. And Peleus has taken in like a bunch of like different foster sons. And you know, like his actual son Achilles is a prince in that kingdom too. So they have a couple interactions, and then one day Patroclus just doesn't go to like the training thing that he was like supposed to go to, like battle training. And Achilles is like, why don't you just go? And he's like, because I don't want to, fuck you. And then they go and they have like a harp lesson together. So when they get back, because Achilles did that for Patroclus so that he would have an excuse on like why he wasn't like at the training that day. So when they get back and they go and talk to Peleus, so Achilles says, so I'm gonna read the passage from the book. Peleus' gaze followed the carpet back to where I stood, trying not to fidget. Yes, the boy the arms master wants to whip. Yes, but it is not his fault. I forgot I wished him for a companion. Therapon was the word he used. A brother in arms, sworn to a prince by blood oaths and love. In war, these men were on his honor guard. In peace, his closest advisors. It is a place of highest esteem, and another reason the boys sworn Peleus' son, showing off. They hope to be chosen. So, like, after like a week of knowing Patroclus, and like one day, like they have this like day together, and then after that, Achilles is like, I want that one. And so from then on, Achilles and Patroclus are together 24/7. That first night, Achilles is like, hey, you won't have to sleep in like the barracks anymore, you can come sleep in my bedroom. And so like it follows them like throughout the rest of the book. And it follows them to the point where during the Trojan War, Patroclus and Achilles are there. And Patroclus is like the more level-headed out of the two. And I have so many things to say about this one, I'm trying to be concise.
No worries.
Okay. So Patroclus is like trying to tell like Achilles like, you can go out in the battle, and Achilles is just like pissed. He doesn't want to fight. He's angry at like the Greek commander for what I don't remember, but like he is just refusing to go out and fight. And so Patroclus goes out to fight instead, because at this point like they're both soldiers and everything. Patroclus goes out to fight, and he is killed. And it's... I wonder if I can find the passage for that, too. Too far. It's hard to find like the precise passages that I'm looking for consistently, because this is a 350-page long book. Okay. Here it is. So Hector's spear lifts over me, tipping like a pitcher, and then it falls, a spill of bright silver, towards me. No. My hands flurry in the air like startled birds, trying to halt the spear's relentless movement towards my belly. But I am weak as a baby against Hector's strength, and my palms give way, unspooling in ribbons of red. The spearhead submerges in a sear of pain so great my breath stops, a boil of agony that bursts over my whole stomach. My head drops against the ground, and the last image I see is of Hector leaning seriously over me, twisting his spear inside me as if he is stirring a pot. The last thing I think is Achilles. It was on Agamemnon, fucking something up also, Chris. And then it details this like next bit where Achilles he learns about what happened. Let's see. I'm gonna skip like the filler and just head to like where he's told. Okay. So this is Achilles speaking. Patroclus, he says, Patroclus, Patroclus, over and over until sound only. Somewhere Odysseus is kneeling, urging for food and drink. A fierce red rage comes, and he almost kills him there. But he would have to let go of me. He cannot. He holds me so tightly I can feel a faint beat of his chest like wings of a moth. An echo, the last bit of spirit still tethered to my body. A torment. Achilles weeps. He cradles me. He will not eat, nor speak a word other than my name. I see his face as if through water, as a fish sees the sun. His tears fall, but I cannot wipe them away. This is my element now, the half-life of the unburied spirit. His mother comes and... he weeps as he lifts me onto our bed. My corpse sags. It is warm in the tent, and the smell will come soon. He does not seem to care. He holds me all night long, pressing my cold hands to his mouth. He does not wait for the Myrmidons or Automaton. He runs up the beach past the Greeks who have come out to sea. They grab their arms and follow. They do not want to miss it. Hector, he screams, Hector. He tears through the advancing Trojan ranks, shattering chests and faces, marking them with the meteor of his fury. He is gone before their bodies hit the ground. The grass, thin from 10 years of warfare, drinks the rich blood of the princes and kings. Yet Hector eludes him, leaving through the chariots and the men with the luck of the gods. No one calls it cowardice that he runs. He will not live if he is caught. He is wearing Achilles' own armor, the unmistakable phoenix breastplate taken from beside my corpse. The men stare as the two pass. It looks almost as if Achilles is choosing himself. A figure rises from the river to bar his way. Filthy water sluices? Yeah. Off the muscles and off of his shoulders, pours from the back of his black beard. He is taller than the tallest mortal, and swollen with strength like creeks in spring. He loves Troy and its people. In the summer they pour wine for him as a sacrifice, and drop garlands to float upon his waters. The most pious of all is Hector, Prince of Troy. Achilles' face is spattered with blood. You will not keep me from him. The river god lifts a thick staff, as small as a tree trunk. He does not need a blade. One strike with this would break bones, snap a neck. Achilles only has a sword. His spears are gone, buried in bodies. Is it worth your life? The god says. No, please. But I have no voice to speak. Achilles steps into the river and lifts his sword. They fight, blah blah. Achilles ends up getting past the god. Yeah, okay. Trying to find the right moment. Okay. Within the walls of Troy, a bow is strung quickly by rushing hands. An arrow is selected, and princely feet hurry up the stairs to a tower that tilts over the battlefield of the dead and dying, where a god is waiting. It is easy for Paris to find his target. The man moves slowly, like a lion wounded and sick. But his gold hair is unmistakable. Paris knocks his arrow. Where do I aim? I heard he was invulnerable, except for... He is a man, Apollo says, not a god. Shoot him and he will die. Paris aims. The god touches a finger to the arrow's fleshling. He then breathes a puff of air, as if to send dandelions flying, to push toy boats over water. And the arrow flies, straight and silent, in a curving downward arc towards Achilles' back. Achilles hears the faint hum of its passage a second before it strikes. He turns his head a little, as if to watch it come. He closes his eyes and feels its point push through his skin, parting thick muscle, worming its way past the interlacing fingers of his ribs. There, at last, is his heart. Blood spills between shoulder blades. dark and slick as oil. Achilles smiles as his face strikes the earth.
I don't think Achilles is going to be alright after that.
No, he's dead. He's absolutely dead. So, what happened there is that Patroclus died, and Achilles was so racked with grief that he threw all caution to the wind, and he went and fought to kill the man that killed essentially his husband, and then in the process ends up dying himself.
Yeah. You can't have a Greek tragedy without, like, you can't have a person die in a Greek tragedy without having at least 2 other people die as a result.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the idea here, eventually, let me see if I can find the ending passage.
I mean, my primary frame of reference for that is Antigone, which is the Greek tragedy I'm most familiar with, but...
Mm-hmm. In the darkness, 2 shadows, reaching through the hopeless, heavy dusk. Their hands meet, and light spills in, a flood like 100 golden urns pouring out the sun. So, they both die, and even in death, they cannot be separated. Even in death, they are reunited, and they are still in love. And it's such a good telling of the story, because a lot of people don't know about Patroclus, and they don't know that he is technically why Achilles died. And it's so good. It's so good. And they, like, in actual myth, they are, like, extremely gay, because ancient Greece was very gay. But, like, modern historians don't want to recognize that, because homophobia.
Yeah.
Fuck modern historians.
So, Madeline Miller, who is a fucking godsend and an incredible author, takes the story of these two, of war and death and hardship, and turns it into a romance. And does it so perfectly. Like, when Patroclus dies, you can feel Achilles' pain. Like, you feel, like, she uses words like he's trembling, he's not sleeping, he's refusing to eat. Like, you feel the grief that he's going through. And it's just, it's such a good book. Fuck, that's a good book.
Now you just gotta write down what you just told us.
Yeah, and I don't remember a goddamn thing. No, it's such a good book.
It's a good thing that this is being recorded, so you can listen to it later.
Dusty in chat. Oh, no big deal. He turns the entire tires of the fucking Trojan War for his bro /J. Yeah. Asher broke out, blacked out, and when they woke up, they found an essay in their lap. Yeah. Yeah. It's such a good book. Madeline Miller also wrote Circe, which is a really, really good telling of Circe, who is the goddess of who's another goddess of witchcraft, like Hecate. And it's just that one's really good too. I like that one.
Oh, it's Hecate? This whole time I was pronouncing it Hecate.
Well, it's a Greek name. So you gotta keep in mind, like, the pronunciations are different. The one that I've heard most common has been Hecate. But, like, people debate it a lot. Yeah, there's 2 billion pronunciations, like Dusty said. But yeah, like, there's a bunch of pronunciations of different names and Greek stuff.
Thanks for telling us about the book. Pick it
Yeah.
up one day.
That was really interesting.
I'm gonna go now. I gotta go get lunch, and I got other stuff to do. Bye.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye. You know, I think after you've said so much about, like, this book, I understand more than ever why it's so difficult for you to write about it.
It's just, like, it's such a good book. But how do you put that all into an academic essay?
Yeah,
know?
'cause you have so much to say about it that it's nearly impossible to compress it into like academic thesis statement.
Right.
And like, here's the other thing is that like I read out like portions of the book, and I can't like do that in an essay. You know, like I can pull out like a couple quotes, but I can't pull out like the pages that I read.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Make a special appeal. Do a fucking video essay.
Oh god, I mean this is due at like midnight tonight, so I don't think I have enough time for that.
Oh fuck.
Oh no.
Like I said, it's only 2 to 3 pages, and I've done longer pages in a shorter amount of time before. I just like need to get the blockage that's in my mind out, and then I'll be good.
It's fair.
Okay. Thank you for letting me yell about the book for a while.
No
'Cause
problem.
I'm feeling it.
I feel like I might actually be in a very similar situation very soon in the future, because I have a paper that I need to write for my TV studies course, and it's due the 18th. So a little under 2 weeks from now. The prompt is literally write something about the industry, integrate something that we've learned at least a little bit if you want to. He's trying to be as lenient with us as possible. He gives us prompts. He's like, use these if you want. He's basically, the rule is don't give me like a paper you wrote for another class and say that you wrote it about TV studies. Like, nah. But he's like, if you have a take on like a show or like a series of shows or like a genre, like just give it to me. And I'm like, sweet. Because there's a paper that I actually wanted to write on my own time at the beginning of the semester that I ultimately just didn't find the time to do. Where I want to talk about like metafiction and TV and how it's both as good as it's ever been, as well as being completely misutilized in certain cases.
Yeah.
Often at the same time by the same products.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, because metafiction is like, it's my shit. Like, I love it when shit goes meta. You can do it really well. You could do it really poorly. You could set it up really poorly and then finish it off really well. You can set it up really well and finish it off really poorly. I have examples for like all of these, and I really want to like go into that. I think I'd mainly want to talk about, because this is a paper where I'd be writing about like 3 of my favorite shows at the same time. It's Community, Rick and Morty, and Supernatural. And it's great because I think all of those shows have had at some point toxic fandoms. So
Yeah.
yeah.
it'll be really interesting. Because like, I would go into my rant now if would y'all be okay with that if I just went into my whole spiel? If
Oh,
not,
fuck
that's fine.
yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, so like,
If what? I'm playing Minesweeper. Do it. That's the chat right now. Sorry.
hell yeah. Okay, so I feel like, because we live in the quote-unquote age of information, right? Like, like audiences are more like hyper conscious of things regarding their entertainment and the nature of their entertainment than they've ever been. Whether that comes through like just like really intent, like holding like your media up to higher standards, or like knowing more about how something is made, and thus like changing your expectations as an audience to meet what is rational for what someone would be expected to do in like, say, a show or a comic or a film, or like a book series. And like also we know more about the nature of like what goes on behind the scenes than we've ever known. In all of its different shades, great and not great. So I feel like this wave of like this pretty big wave we've seen of like fiction that is hyper aware of itself is in some way reflective of that, because content is inherently made to be reflective of its audience or of its creators, necessarily. And nowadays we're also seeing a huge blend of creators and audience, because people are creating stuff that they'd like to see, and making something is easier than it's ever been because of the internet, video sharing platforms. Like, frickin' the guy who directed Shazam for the DC Cinematic Universe is a guy who got his start on YouTube. Shazam was one of my favorite movies of last year. Anyways, the point. That was a good page and a half of just context. I think the thing with metafiction, and especially a lot of the metafiction that we're getting, is that it can be very, very thought-provoking if you have a point to it, but if you do it either out of habit or for just the sake of doing it because you think it's fun, without really having a reason why, it's incredibly obnoxious. And, like, because, okay, something that's really important when it comes to just telling a story in general is suspension of disbelief, right?
Right.
Like, because most of the time, like, you know that what you're looking at is not real, or at least not completely, to an extent. Like, every piece of media that you're going to see, unless it is literally, like, just documentation of something that happened, is fictionalized to an extent, or just, like, you know, like, fantasy to a certain extent. So suspension of disbelief comes in to, like, minimize that so that it doesn't get in the way of the story. Now, what metafiction does is that it calls attention to itself in breaking the fourth wall. And if you... It's a very, very fine line, because you are engaging the audience in a way that they are not typically prepared for you to do. So you better have a good reason to tear down that fourth wall, otherwise you're just gonna have fucking wall debris all over your floor, and you're gonna trip over yourself. Like, what's some good examples? I'm trying to think of an example of something that, like, really, really goes out of its way to interact with its audience in a way that is not welcome. I was thinking maybe Rick and Morty, but being completely honest, I think they fixed that problem in the newer seasons.
To an extent, yeah, I think so. What were your other two examples? For, like,
Community and Supernatural. Supernatural, because of... Well, I mean, Community and Rick and Morty, the connection is very easy to draw because it's literally made by the same guy. Dan Harmon, who I will never quite know my opinion of him. I'll have to really sit down and think, because it's like... That's another conversation.
Yeah.
Or I guess, or maybe just a huge tangent part of this conversation. Because he is connected to this. But Supernatural, mainly I was referring to the nature of, like, really, like, arcs that define the show, but primarily the final season. Because, does anyone in this chat care about Supernatural spoilers? I promise it won't be about the finale this time.
This time? Wait for...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Supernatural Endgame spoilers.
Sleepy.
Okay. Supernatural... spoilers.
Wait, hold on. I just realized just by listening to you talk, I was able to write, like, the other half of this paragraph. Keep talking.
Fuck yes! Okay, alright. So, Supernatural ended very recently with its 15th and final season. The show was supposed to end at the end of its 5th season in 2009. No, 2009? 2010. Um,
2010, I think, yeah.
yeah, 2010, because the show started in 2005.
Mhm.
And 2005 plus 15 is 2020, which is now. So, yeah. Anyways, the whole a huge thing that the show is fundamentally about is like escaping like the like predestined fate that's set up for you, whether that is in the metaphysical sense, which is like Sam and Dean being destined to kill each other by being possessed by Michael and Lucifer in the apocalypse that was defined by the Book of Revelations, or in just the actual like more realistic like practical sense, which is like inheriting generational familial trauma. Like how Dean and Sam are like have like to an extent, Dean definitely more than Sam, like carry the same toxic habits of their father, who was the show makes it a point to let you know that the father was not a good guy. And like it's about that. And so when you're talking about like, you know, characters going against their fate, like yeah, you could definitely do that through a framework of like people who are destined in something like the Bible not wanting to go along with it. Even so far as there being a really cool exchange at the end of season 5 between Michael and Lucifer, where they talk it out. We're like, do we really want to do this? Just because like Dad told us to, and they're like, I wish there was another way. And like after season 5, the head writer, the creator of the show, Eric Kripke, left the show, and the show just kept getting crazier and crazier, which some people see as a huge like negative. I see it as a plus in some respects. Sometimes a bit off more than it could chew, but I respect a show. I respect any piece of media with ambition. In any case, it gets really, really like higher and higher until the season 14 finale comes around, and it's revealed that like, hey, God's actually been the villain this whole time, because since he's omnipotent and he's literally characterized in the show as a writer, as like a showrunner like writer, who takes pleasure in seeing Sam and Dean save the day, and he literally produces all the threats they've ever faced. So they're like, wait a second, like we're not your favorite show anymore, like this is our lives, stop fucking with us. And then God's like, alright, screw you, I'm the villain now. And that's the setup for season 15. Really good setup, horrible payoff. I've ranted about the finale before. Anyways. Like, I think that literally characters rebelling against their writers, it doesn't get more metafictiony than that, and it is definitely in line with the themes of the show. But God, did it absolutely flub that landing.
Yeah. It could have been so good.
It could.
And I think
I literally have like a whole like thing laid out where like I've restructured the season 15 to make it good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's I think a big thing that like we've seen with a lot of like shows that have ended recently, like Game of Thrones and Supernatural being like the two biggest, is this idea of these great setups, and then the execution, something happens and like it's just ruined. You know, like with Game of Thrones, I didn't watch Game of Thrones. My dad did.
My condolences.
I had some other friends that like watched it and like kept up with the books and everything. But like one of the big things that like happened in it is that there was these like really good character arcs where people were getting away from abusers and things like that. And then in the finale, like the last episode of the show, all of that gets reversed for multiple characters. And it's these like seasons and seasons and seasons of character development only to get thrown out at the last minute.
Yeah.
And then like it shows like a disregard for what people have made of these things. And like it, to me, it feels like it's like the writers just want to be done with it. And it's like they don't want to write this anymore, so they don't think about what they're writing.
That might have actually been the case to a certain extent with Supernatural. Cause, like, I mean, okay, there's actually a big theory. I don't know how much water it actually holds, but, there's a theory that a big reason why the Destiel scene was so fucked up, was that, Jared Padalecki, the guy who plays Sam Winchester, is due to play the main character in the reboot of Walker Texas Ranger, and that show might lose a lot of its demographic if the guy who's following up Chuck Norris is on a show that ends with a gay relationship. So
That might be it.
Yeah,
it might
actually,
be. It also might not be. It might just be hack writing.
Mm-hmm.
Or just rather unmotivated hack writing.
Yeah.
I should clarify.
Yeah, it's just like there's these shows like in like other media that like has been around for a long time that eventually comes to an end. I have these same feelings about Danganronpa's like V3's ending. But it's like these really, really good setups. Also like Homestuck, but I can't talk about Homestuck because I know nothing about it.
You know, I actually, if I wasn't talking about specifically in the realm of TV, Homestuck would take up half the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're okay. But like these things, like they have these really brilliant setups, and then it's like with Danganronpa V3, without spoiling too much of it, it starts out and it's really decent. I had some issues with Danganronpa V3 just based on character writing. Just because I didn't like how they characterized some of the characters. They weren't very likable to me, but that's just like a me thing, I think. But like it had this really good setup, and like it had a very decent storyline. And then like it ends and it's such like a fuck you to everyone that like had really been into it for all the years that it was around. You know?
Okay. Yeah, just for context, the first thing I ever learned about Danganronpa was the ending of V3, so you don't need to give that much context. I know what happens, and I definitely see your point.
So, I don't know if like Rosen is still in chat because I know he's been playing through it. I don't know if he's just like listening in or anything like that. And I don't know if anyone else like is like not finished and doesn't want to get it spoiled. But like it's such a fuck you to everyone that had like been into it for that long, because like the first game came out in 2010 and the last game V3 came out in 2017, I think. So that's like 7 years that people were following these games and were just so enraptured with them, only to have it end like that. And everyone like it's a very polarizing ending. Some people love it because of its nature, other people hate it because of its nature.
The same can be said for Supernatural.
Mm-hmm. And it's just there's so much that could have been decent in Homestuck, apparently.
I have a lot to say about that. I am an unfortunate carrier of unpopular opinions when it comes to Homestuck. Not something that I'm like, oh, I have this opinion because other people don't. It's just I'm just speaking out of the survey I've taken just from the discussions I've had online about it.
Mm-hmm. I just like I completely missed Homestuck when it happened.
Same kind of.
So like I never really learned about it. Everything that I've learned has been secondhand.
Yeah, same.
And it's never like been anything that's stuck in my head.
Haha, nice. I get it. I started sorry, my sister's yelling about something in another room. I'm struggling to focus.
It's okay.
I think she's yelling about BTS.
K-pop moments.
Okay, so You know what? Be right back.
Okay.
Understandable.
Sorry, it's just I'm gonna ask you to be a little more quiet because I have like 2 closed doors between us.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I don't know, like it's just a lot of these things that end that have like such unsatisfying endings have always felt to me like it's like the writers like just are tired of writing it, or like the creators are tired of creating it. You know?
Yeah.
Like with Supernatural, like it was set to end in season 5. And like I think the last episode that I watched of it was in like 2015. It's been a hot minute.
Hi again. What were we talking about?
Hi, I'm talking about my personal feelings about Supernatural.
No.
But like it was set to end in the 5th season, and it should have ended there.
Okay.
Because from
for the
a
sake of having
storyline-
for the sake of having a complete story, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that there were some things that we got from the post-season 5 seasons that were worth it. Like
I
I'd
think
rather
there
that
are
it
some things, definitely, but like
I'd rather that some of the stuff that we got from post-season 5 Supernatural happened. I'd rather they did happen than if they didn't. Even though, as a whole, the quality of the show diminished.
mhm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because like I appreciated like up until like I think through season 6, I was happy with it. And I just feel like it should have, like when the creator leaves a show after they wrote to where they wanted to write, I feel like the original vision should be respected.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he didn't really have a. It's not like he was completely divorced from the project. He came back in season 7 to be executive consultant,
Mhm.
and he stayed on until the end.
Yeah,
It
but
just wasn't like his ship that he was steering.
Mhm. It's just like like I said, like once something like is made and it has like a set ending from the start, I feel like it should end at that point. Because I feel like Gravity Falls is a key example of that. Gravity Falls was set out with the ending in mind.
Oh yeah, I do know about Gravity Falls, and I will say you're definitely right about that.
And like, as much as I would love more content of it, I think it's perfect where it ended.
Exactly, yeah.
And like, I'm trying to think on how to like say this. Because I have the feelings in my head, but words. When a story ends exactly when it's supposed to, then it's good because it wraps up everything that it wanted to. There's like, with Adventure Time, that went on for a really, really long time, and I don't know if they set out with the ending in mind. But I think they wrote the ending in a proper way, you know? It's at a point where you can finish it and then it's done, and like it sucks that it's gone, but it also ended right when it should have, you know?
You can have a story that you don't have like a beginning to end like plot as you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have something where you're basically just making it up as you go along and still be capable of creating a really good, really strong ending that feels right. Like that's what Breaking Bad did, in my opinion. Because like they like Vince Gilligan literally said like because like the show feels really tight. It feels like really like it feels like everything like comes full circle and like, you know, everything is accounted for and all questions are answered. But Vince Gilligan, the creator of the show, literally said in so many interviews that at the beginning of season 5, he introduced like a big gun that the main character buys, and he said, "I had no idea what he was going to use it on. I just put it there because I wanted to test what we could do."
Yeah.
And the ending is one of the most well received and most highly acclaimed episodes of television.
Yeah,
So-
just in general. Breaking Bad, I think, also had just a lot of really strong writers that felt very like passionate about what they were writing.
Oh yeah.
And you know, like when you're writing something for as long as like some of these other things, like Supernatural and other things, Homestuck and Danganronpa and stuff like that. Like eventually, people are going to get fatigued writing it because you can only write something for so long and like continue to try and keep creating content for that thing
Right.
before it starts to get like tiring, you know?
Hussey leaving the head writers team on the post on Homestuck 2 was one of the best things he's done in years.
I forgot Homestuck 2 was a thing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
if Homestuck's so good, why isn't there Homestuck 2? So is it do y'all think it's time? Y'all think it's time I drop my Homestuck take?
How does Perp and her chat feel about it? Perp says sure. Please do.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, go. Go before they change their minds.
Right. I'm one of the very few people, again, just from what I've seen and the circles that I've been in, who did not dislike the epilogues or the beginning of Homestuck 2. I definitely understand why a lot of it is not great. But a lot of it definitely ties into just what I took out of the original comic. Like just thematically, it to me it felt like a natural follow-up. And that is with me being very conscious that a lot of the characters are acting very not in character. I feel like for me that's part of it, but I definitely think it was a good decision for them to be like, if you don't want to acknowledge this is canon, then just don't. Because if they didn't do that, I think that would yield a much worse response. I see. Okay, this is gonna be a little weird, but hear me out. I see Homestuck in a lot of the same way like I do the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Insofar as very iconic, very influential. There's some not great stuff in it. The creator is of dubious character at best, and okay, I don't think Hussey's as bad as like Richard O'Brien, but like, and it completely loses itself narratively in the second half. That's the primary reason why I look at them at the same, like in the same way. I haven't consumed Homestuck since I was 18. How old are you? This person's like 18.
They just
yeah, because the second half of Homestuck, like, there's a lot to love in there, and there's some really good, really interesting stuff, especially with some of the characters they introduce and some of the concepts they follow up on. I've never seen a better and more direct interpretation of Death of the Author than literally killing off Andrew Hussey. But fucking, revolutionary for the time, but aged poorly. Well, I could definitely understand that. I don't think there's going to be any really good examples of. I'm trying to think of something that hasn't in some way aged really well. If it's not necessarily like trying to say something about the future and gets it correctly. Because everything to some extent is a time capsule. I'm just spitting out my fucking film philosophy, like media philosophies right now. You're welcome to just be like, okay. I think that the train of thought is a finicky thing. It can come and it can go, and it just kind of does that on its own. Give me a second. Yeah, there's a lot to love in the second half of Homestuck. It definitely loses itself narratively. The ending, in my opinion, does kind of roll in well with my personal take of it, which is I elaborate on that in the freaking research, the 17-page research paper I wrote about it in senior year, that I put in Asher's Discord server. But TLDR, I basically see it, the whole thing as a giant convoluted analogy for the experience of growing up in the age of internet technology and the insane responsibilities that puts onto incredibly young people. I'm eating strawberries in Minecraft. Like, Homestuck 2 is interesting because I didn't think they were gonna make it. Because the ending of the epilogues kind of made me think that they were just gonna kind of leave it open for the community to just like figure out on their own. Or like, this is the blueprint for what's gonna happen for the rest of it. Like, we've laid out the track for you, now you do it. Which I thought would fit in well with like the whole post-canon thing. It is what you make it. Like, your take is as valid as ours. I thought that's what they were gonna do. And then they just kind of did it. And I was like, okay. I've enjoyed good chunks of it. Mostly the stuff that's been made after Hussey stepped down. I think
that's something.
like, Hussey is a very influential person and a very creative person. And he has a very distinct like style and like does a lot with his stuff that not a lot of other people do, or definitely not a lot of people did at the time that he made Homestuck, at the time he was making it. I think it was very wise of him to realize that his, for lack of a better term, his reign had come to a close. The sun had set on the Hussian Empire. He should have done it a couple years earlier. But, you know, better late than never. And I love Dave Cat. That's the real thesis statement.
What is this man doing? I just looked at like the actual stream.
You know what I think the best thing Hussey has done? Oh, E-Boy Hussey is like, he is living his dream.
You know what? Good for him.
That's actually the vampire juggler that killed Dean Winchester.
It was Andrew Hussey.
God, I can't believe that.
This is the Hussey man.
Is it? Would it be out of turn?
Wonderful.
Would it be out of turn to make a comment regarding fictional characters' alcoholism?
Depends on what the comment is.
I feel like, because, okay, I had a conversation with a friend of mine regarding the finale of Supernatural, and he said that it was he liked it because he thought that, like, no, yeah, it makes sense for Dean to die while he's young, and like on a hunt, because he was always going to do that. It was just a lifestyle he picked. And I said that, like, okay, well, if you want, like that's not satisfying to an audience if you're gonna like kill someone off after they've claimed victory over winning predestination. If you want to talk about like a character's like actions having consequences, and like impacting heavily on his life, you could literally just give Dean like 10 years of victory and then give him liver problems. Which, like, it's not, or like something where like he just like didn't go to the doctor enough, or like some fucking thing, because like Dean did not live a very self-sustainable lifestyle. And if you want to portray that while also letting him get a victory, then yeah, there's plenty of ways to do that down the road after you've given him like a few years, or ideally plenty of years, to be like, hey, I'm not fucking dead anymore, or trapped by like, you know, the unyielding claw of fate, and just fucking, I don't know, like maybe he just didn't get like a thing checked up when he should have. Or like maybe his maybe his excessive partying got to him. Let the man have his dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at a picture of Alex the lion from Madagascar and thinking about his character design.
I've got to think about his character arc in the light of metafiction.
Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking about like how much I enjoyed how they showed like the claws without actually like having them like out and animated all the time. I'll put a picture in the congruence chat. So
Yeah.
they do this by just kind of like adding this like stylistic just line on the paws, and it's just
Yeah.
it's an interesting way to go about it, and I think it works really well. Yo, why he got tits? Why he got a rock instead of tits?
Yo, he he really said.
God.
Oh man, kind of like I'm looking at stream chat, kind of like Steven Universe Future. I did not watch Steven Universe.
I did. I haven't watched Future though. In my brain, if I don't watch the final episode of something, it never truly ends.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I haven't been able to get myself to watch it yet. I think personally that the movie was a good place to leave it off. But I also have heard that Steven Universe Future goes into like the ideas of like the trauma that Steven has like suffered. And I can appreciate that from a trauma survivor standpoint.
Yeah, I did see. Okay, I somewhat tell a lie when I say I did not see Steven Universe Future.
Mhm.
I saw my roommate in college marathoned a lot of it because he has like the entire show on DVD. I remember we like watched the movie premiere together. And like he was watching a bunch of the show in preparation for it, and so I joined him for some of it. I joined him for like I saw like all of Change Your Mind. I saw like some of the pivotal like plot moments. So like I feel like I somewhat have an understanding of it. From what I knew of the show, I felt like I watched most of Future with him. And I ended up watching the finale on my own. Because by the time the finale came out, we were in quarantine again. Either that or it was like Thanksgiving break that year. I actually don't remember. I just remember I was not at my campus when Steven Universe Future ended. It struck me as being very good, and from his reception of it, I guess it was because he liked it. So
yeah. Sorry, I'm making some adjustments to my paper right now. No, like it's. I think the like actual finale of the show. So Rebecca Sugar. If I'm, let me double check this before I say it. Yes. Okay. Rebecca Sugar, the creator of the show, still uses she/her pronouns, but is a non-binary person. She goes by she/her and they/them pronouns. I felt like the finale of the show felt like a love letter to trans people, because you see this idea like a lot of trans people, like we talked about this like in our circles, and it's like this idea of people expecting you to still be this person. In Steven's case, like not who he used to be, but like who they knew before Steven. It's this idea of like people like in your family still being like, oh, but you used to be like this way and things like that. And at the end of it, like like in the Change Your Mind like song, he says, I don't need you to respect me, I respect me. I don't need you to love me, I love me. But I want you to know you could know me if you change your mind. And it felt so much just like a love letter to like self-love and accepting that they're not always going to understand. And it was such a powerful moment too, that the clip that James Baxter animated, fucking god of animation also, it shows quite literally like Steven loving himself in the most literal of terms. It shows like his human form and gem form like separated, and like his gem form, like they hug and they like dance and then they come back to like get together as one, and it's such a beautiful moment, and it's so good, and I think about it constantly. I don't know. The Steven Universe finale was so good. And it felt like such a love letter to both trans people and just loving yourself in general as a person. And I have a big appreciation for it.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I had to go on a tangent there for a minute.
That is absolutely fun.
No, it's so good. And I think the Steven Universe movie did a good job of showing kind of like, from a literary standpoint, the consequences of these actions that Steven is still suffering. Because like, you like gradually throughout the show, like you kind of figure out that like Rose was not a good person. Like you get hints of it here and there, but like there was never anything outright until closer to the end of the show. And I remember, because I was very into it, like when it was still like going on, like the original show. And I remember like in like there was a but it's hold on, I want to find it.
I believe in you.
Maybe it's
Also, I
not
did-
from a promo image, but it might be. I think I found like the frame in particular that I was talking about. There's like a specific frame in the show where it shows like Rose, and it's kind of portrayed as she's like looking down like at Steven, but like the top of her face is in shadow. And I remember like reading like back in the day, like someone saying like what if this means that she's actually evil, and that person obviously not necessarily evil, but like not a good person, and that person ended up being right. And it's just they plant like these seeds so gradually throughout the show, and it's done super well, I think. Like this idea of her like gradually like not her showing it, but like it being shown gradually throughout like the show, that like she isn't a good person, but everyone thought she was. I think Steven Universe is a good show.
Hell yeah.
I know nothing of Steven Universe, but like from what I've heard of it, like everything you're saying, like the writing is really good on it, and especially the pacing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
man, I just want to find the fucking like image I'm thinking about.
It's
Because,
not
like,
real.
it is though, because I see the fucking thing from here, but I don't know if they actually like show like. Fucking, they don't list where it's from. God damn it. Anyways, I'll take like a half screenshot of it.
Oh.
Hmm?
Astro, look at stream.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yes. Yes. Oh fuck. Thank you. God, I thought I was going insane. But yeah, like that's. It just looking at this from like a direct like design standpoint, like the fact that you can't see Rose's eyes is such a good choice. It's this idea that like you see her smiling, but you can't see her eyes, and it just looks so sinister.
The eyes are
And
the
it's-
window to the soul.
Exactly. God, it's such a.
I love that shit. That's why in the poster for Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather, Vito Corleone's eyes are cast in shadow. That's why he's lit from above. Because he doesn't reveal himself to anyone. Damn, I love film theory.
God. So good. Oh, you'll be interested to know, Coco, specifically. I'm taking a psychology of film class next semester.
Oh my god, please tell me anything and everything about it.
I will. I thought you would enjoy that.
Thank you so much. Also, oh no, I said that already. I'm taking a video game course. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm going for my. I'm going for a psychology minor.
Fuck yeah.
So, I'm getting like one of the courses out of the way. Yeah, like just from like, Steven Universe is a good show. It's not a perfect show by any means, but it's a good show, I think. And there's also something to be said, just like on a certain level, about like Rose coming to love herself as she is, you know, going from like one form to another, and then Steven like having to deal with like the repercussions of Rose's actions later on because of the actions that she took. And there's like something about like familiar like trauma, like generational trauma in that as well. And it's just I have so many thoughts. I also, from just like a design standpoint, I think some of my favorite things about Steven Universe were the fusions, just because you could tell that the designers had like so much fun with like creating those kind of things.
Yeah.
It's just the fusions in the show were very, very good. There's a couple that I'm not a huge fan of, but like that'll just kind of happen naturally. You're not always going to love like every idea that comes from a show.
God, is it a? Can I bring something up real quick? It's relevant to designs. I am so upset because my roommate, and I hope I can send him this VOD later so I can call him out. My roommate from college, freshman year, is doing a Rainbow Quartz cosplay. But he hates having photos taken of himself, and he refuses to ever let me see it. Which is upsetting enough, but not only that, it's because this is not the first time he's done this. Because I was invited to go to, because we go to college in LA, I was invited to go to the Nier Automata concert that happened there, with him and another friend of ours. And he dressed up as 9S from Nier Automata. I could not go because I had astronomy class. I literally never saw the cosplay, and it was literally just because I wasn't in my dorm room at the time. And there's no photos that exist of it. So
The one issue
yeah.
that I had with like the initial Rainbow Quartz design is that I don't like the placement of the second eyes for whatever reason. I think just the multiple eyes, like just like how they're portrayed, is a thing that gets to me a little bit. I feel like the 2.0 design kind of fixes it a little bit. But yeah, I just you know, the first time that I saw Stevani, I had some feelings. And I think that's important to note. Because Stevani, them up.
I'm so sorry, I had to hop off for a little bit.
It's okay.
Also, just a heads up, my sister, whose room is across the room from, room is across the room is across the hall from mine, will be testing out a microphone, for singing, so, depending on how loud she is, you may or may not pick some of that up from my end. So,
Is she any good at it?
Oh, she's fantastic. I'm just saying, like, just if you hear singing in the background, it's probably from me.
No, Stevani is such a good character design on a lot of levels, I think. And I really enjoy their design. In like the Jungle Moon episode, where they start growing like stubble and stuff. So, like kind of just shows like fucking like a good. It's just good design. It's good design and it's good gender representation, I think.
Hell yeah.
I just like them. I think they're neat.
Ugh. See, that's what I can't stand for. People liking things? Get the fuck out of here. I talk about Supernatural because I hate it.
I mean, sometimes you gotta hate something to love something.
I think it's better if you love something to love something, but... Speaking of hating something that you love, writing a script is so hard.
Yeah.
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 Like... Because, great that I chose this to be my, career. Like, I wanted to write a feature film over the summer. I kept saying that for the entirety of the first half of 2020. I'm like, this summer I'm gonna crank out at least one feature film script. I didn't even finish the outline. I still haven't finished the outline.
Ouch.
I'd have the beginning and the end, but like the middle is like such a huge question mark. I'm streaming Minesweeper. Minesweeper.
Oh yeah, sweep those mines.
You better not sweep a single freaking mine or I swear to God it is going to explode.
Streaming? Jim's online.
Jim is online, yeah. Solar
Um,
Cartoons is also online. Ryan is online.
oh man, my friend Casey was streaming. I was gonna
Who is also online.
I was gonna ask if we could rate them, but Casey stopped. I'm gonna go berate Casey after this for not continuing to stream so we could raid them.
Mhm. Flip a coin.
Today we are going to raid Andrew Hussey.
I mean, does he stream on Twitch?
We're gonna we're gonna raid his home.
Oh, even better.
Heads.
So head.
What's our raid phrase?
Our raid phrase is going to be Sus.
Seuss. All lowercase.
I mean, we did touch on Gravity Falls for a bit, so it works.
Sus.
So it's
Man.
Ah.
Sorry, I just wanted to harmonize.
I can't go any higher.
Oh Jesus! You peaked your mic.
Sorry about that. Let's go.
Bye everyone.
Wait.
Bye. Oh.
Seuss.
Sus.